program. And let's see, if you guys just give us, let's take another minute to make sure that everybody who had registered for this is joining us. So we're just gonna take one more minute and then we'll get started. All right, let me, while we're waiting for people to join, I'll go ahead and pull up my deck here. Hold on one second. All right, can y'all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Hi. So we've got a good number of participants already on the call. There's people are kind of trickling in, but I think we can get started if y'all are good with that. Okay, so I'm gonna kick us off, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us for our info session. We're going to talk to you at length about the Female Founders Program today so you can figure out whether or not it is a good fit for you and your journey. Just a real quick, and we're going to get into this, but a real quick hit here. We've been doing this since fall of 2020. So not for very long, but it's been very successful so far. And we're really excited about this spring cohort because we are making some changes. And so that sort of, I don't want to bury the lead here. The lead here is that upon successful completion of the program, we will award those teams with a $5,000 fund to go and continue their journey to build their businesses. So we're very excited about that change this year and very happy that you all are here to hear more about that. So let's talk to you about the Georgia Tech Venture Labs Female Founders Program. So before I get into this, if you guys are not familiar, there is a unit on campus called, on Georgia Tech's campus called Venture Lab. As I know we have some community team members. Venture Lab is one of the entrepreneurial support organizations on campus. It is an incubator that is primarily focused on grad, PhD, and faculty startups. However, we do coach and teach programs for undergrads as well. And our goals in this unit is that we will help any researcher or student or faculty on Georgia Tech's campus that has interest in starting a business or spinning out their technology or their research out into the marketplace, that we will help them do that through training, through mentoring, through coaching. That is kind of our reason for existence. So as a part of that reason for existence, we developed this Female Founders Program in the fall of 2020. So we're going to kick us off, though, with just a quick introduction to the ladies we have on the call that are from Venture Lab, and then we'll dig into the program itself. So Leah, do you want to give a quick introduction to yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Sarah. Hi, everybody. My name is Leah Achuria. I'm the one that's sending you out all the Zoom invitations for this event. I assist the Educate team, Melissa and Sarah, with a lot of our event planning, behind the scenes programming, and was able to do for the second time in a row, be a teaching assistant for a National Science Foundation I-Corps Teams program. So that's really exciting if you guys are heading up that ladder. But anyway, thank you so much for being here today. It's a great turnout. And afterwards, you will receive a copy of this recording. So stay tuned. Watch your email for more things to come from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Okay, Melissa, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, Melissa Hefner with Georgia Tech's Venture Lab. I've been a part of the Venture Lab team since 2014 and teaching startup teams since 2015. To date, Sarah and I have taught, we think, close to 1,000 teams, maybe just over 1,000 teams. And we're going to give you some background today on why we started this program specifically for female founders. But this is our passion. This is what we love to do, to help folks figure out what that first business model could look like. Who is your beachhead customer and how do you enter a market? And I'm really excited to share with you today what we do and hopefully what your appetite for joining us for one of our programs.
Okay, guys, so I'm going to introduce myself. So like Melissa, I sit on the Educate team at Venture Lab. So we educate entrepreneurship teams on different methods and approaches to building their businesses. I've been with Venture Lab and Georgia Tech now for 3 years, running very similar programs to our female founders cohort that we'll have for you guys today. I want to share who's in my photo real quick. So I've got my 10-year-old stepdaughter, my 2 boys under 2 there, and my husband. And for those of you that are in Atlanta, we're enjoying the Illuminarium experience on the Beltline. Exceeded my expectations. I thought I was just going to look at a big screen of a safari, but it was really, really interesting and a lot of fun for the kids. So excited to be here with you all. Excited to talk to you guys about the inspiration for this program and what you all can expect. So to make a somewhat, it's not even that long of a story because we haven't been doing this for that long, but to make a long story short, what we did when this idea first came to us. So there was a realization that Georgia Tech is making huge strides in making sure that the student body population is more balanced between men and women. And so we're starting to see more and more that representation of women at Georgia Tech, which is primarily STEM related disciplines, is starting to get to that 50-50 balance. But what we weren't seeing was that representation in our programming. We weren't seeing the women on campus actually come to us to learn more about what it means to start a company. And we have also realized through this process that there's a disparity at Georgia Tech's campus as it relates to women coming and joining entrepreneurship programs. There's also a disparity generally within the world of entrepreneurship and startups in terms of how women are funded, how women startups are handled, and we want to be a part of that change. There's huge shifts taking place. You can see them all over the place, but there's huge shifts taking place in understanding that we need to improve this situation. And Melissa and I just felt very passionately about becoming a part of that change and a part of that shift in our own small way. What's even more amazing is that even though female-founded teams are historically underfunded, they also historically outperform male-founded teams. And we have some hunches as to why that might be the case. Some of it, we've been chatting this week. We'll talk in a minute about our benefactor, but we have been chatting this week with her. She came to do a tour on campus. And there's kind of this baked in resiliency that us as women end up having because we have more hurdles to get over. That makes us more likely potentially to succeed in a startup environment. So even though we are underfunded generally here, when we do get funded, we tend to outperform because we are used to working a little bit harder, right? Pushing ourselves a little bit further. And so with all of this in mind, we knew that we wanted to create a channel by which the women on Georgia Tech's campus, and also I should note that a part of our mission at Venture Lab, we help folks from across the Southeast. So not just Georgia Tech's campus, but across the Southeast. We wanted to be a beacon of opportunity for women who had an idea for starting a business could come and receive that training. And more importantly, to start to build a community, because what seems to be lacking in the entrepreneurship community is a female network. And we're here to help build that, right? So a part of this was, let's get these women together with just them in the room. Let's get them together with female success stories. Let's get them together with women mentors and coaches so that we can start to be surrounded with like-minded individuals. We can start to share our experiences that are similar and really begin to understand that we can support each other, frankly. And I say this, I want to make one thing really clear. This is the Female Founders Program. We look for female-led or co-led teams, but we are very welcoming of the men on your teams to be a part of the training as well. So we would, in fact, we would like them to be here so they can hear some of this discrepancy and disparity and become allies in the change and shift that we're trying to create here. So all that being said, we had this idea, did some research, did some secondary research, realized that the statistics about entrepreneurship in females was, our hunches were true. Did some primary research, went around campus and talked to women on campus that engage with different gender issues and different women's support groups on campus. And we decided we're going to go for it. We're going to build this thing. We built it to kick it off in March of 2020, and that didn't really work out too well for a whole lot of reasons. So we took a beat to figure out how we were going to shift all our stuff virtual, and we actually kicked it off in the fall of 2020. And so what you're seeing here, this lovely set of Zoom boxes, is our first cohort from the fall of 2020. And it was just a very exciting, moment. We put out this application. We typically have anywhere from 10 to 15 teams apply, and we typically have around that range in any given cohort for any of our programs. And in the fall of 2020, we had somewhere like 45 of them apply. So it was a strong indication that what we thought was needed on campus was in fact needed on campus, that women prefer to be in a program like this generally, where they can be around folks that have shared experiences with them. And then we heard that again, it was reinforced in many of the conversations that we facilitated throughout this cohort, that there was it was a completely different vibe and feeling in this cohort than there would be in a co-ed cohort or one that would be male dominated. So we were very excited to see that our hunches were true again. So I want to talk to you about some of the teams that have come through Female Founders. Here is LaVonda Brown. So LaVonda Brown she is a Georgia Tech MBA grad. She also got a degree or two from Emory, I think. And she went through our initial cohort. And I should say that our initial cohort happened in fall 2020. We also had a sort of follow-on program in the spring to give them more information. We've since sort of combined part 1 and part 2 into a singular program, which is what you'll be engaged with this spring. LaVonda has been very successful in her technology development and her startup development. So she has a eye screening technology that is essentially could replace a breathalyzer or could replace a drug urine screening test. That is instantaneously can read what's going on with your eyes if you were under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and can let somebody know that someone is under the influence. So very useful in a lot of applications. She's had a lot of successes since completing our Female Founders program. We can't say that they're all because of us, but maybe we had a small part in some of her knowledge on how to approach things. But she was recently awarded with $100,000 in non-diluted funding from the Google Black Founders Fund. She has had a number of additional accomplishments along the way as well, and she continues to be a huge champion for our Female Founders program. So we're very excited for her. Here's more about her technology. So not only are they able to read whether or not someone's under the influence, but they can actually categorize whether it's alcohol or which classification of drug that person might be under the influence of. And so you can imagine how this would, not just in use cases related to breathalyzers, but in employment use cases. There's a lot of different applications for this technology. So we're very excited to see how she progresses. So I think we had, hold on one second. I think we had a couple other folks that might be all that we were showcasing today, but I want to just chat before we move forward about a couple other ladies that we have in our program. So we have another team, Allison Jennings McKinley, and she has a startup where she's essentially changing the way that frequencies are sent and received. And so she's going to be rewriting the way that autonomous vehicle technology works, the way that medical imaging works, the way that cell phone technology works, especially 5G. So there's a lot of application for her technology, and she has received quite a bit of success since being in Female Founders. Female Founders, I want to say, inspired her to leave her job and pursue her PhD full time and pursue this startup full time. And since she has done that, she's received a number of different grants in non-diluted funding. And she is, there's some other things, awards that she has received that have not been made public yet. I'm not going to mention them, but they're really big. So I just want to give you a couple of quick examples. There are a number of success stories where the team started with our program, and we kind of helped launch them forward. Now, their resilience, their passion, and excitement and intelligence is really what's taken them beyond that. But we were able to really kind of give them that Kickstarter that they needed to get out the door. And I'm going to pass it over to Melissa to dig into the actual details of the program with you guys.
So we adhere to the Lean Startup methodology, and feel free to raise your hand using the reaction button if this is a methodology that you've heard of, that you've taken a look at before, that you've read something about. So we have really deep roots in the National Science Foundation's I-Corps program, which they have very deep roots in Lean Startup methodology. So it's this idea that we engage with our customer to begin to understand what the problem space really is and how we are going to iterate for that problem space. And so we do a combination of, teaching you the method and then asking you to employ the method by literally going out and engaging with potential stakeholders. We also work really hard, even in a virtual setting, to build this cohort effect, right? To have you engage with each other and have you begin to build relationships. And I would say that a number of our teams, they continue to keep in touch. They support each other. They ask each other questions. They reach out when they have something that they're up against, or they have an event that they need to prepare for and they might need some feedback on. So we hope that the women that come into the program also begin to lean on each other and also hold each other up. And then we also introduce you to folks in the community that can be support as well. And so, Sarah, sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to advance my slides. So how we actually do this, we employ the Lean Startup curriculum, and we open this up to both teams affiliated with a research institute and teams that may not be. We've had a number of teams come through the program who either were in STEM years ago or have never been in STEM officially, but are very intrigued by, whatever platform or coding that they wanted to do, who have joined the program and been quite successful. We do ask that each team complete 20 to 30 one-on-one customer discovery interviews with potential stakeholders. You will receive real-time feedback and coaching from Sarah and me, and we will also introduce you to at least one, probably more than one female founder who will come in and just let you know what you can expect down the road, right? It's always nice to see someone who has gone before us and has been successful to share with us what the struggles are going to be like, what we're up against, but then see that you can continue to power through and have success. All right, so I know many of you have questions about this $5,000. So this is to teams who are accepted and successfully complete the program. And so what does success look like for this program? We are asking for full attendance and participation of each team member at each session. So you might come in as what we call a solopreneur. There's just one of you, and that's fine. You can come in with a team of 2 to 4. That's also great. But we would like everybody who is involved on your team to actually participate in this program. We will have a Female Founder Speaker Series event right now. It's scheduled for April 28th from 12:30 to 1. And you'll get to meet 2 local female founders who started a company in the middle of the pandemic. You will complete the 20 to 30 interviews, and you will participate in weekly office hour sessions. These are one-on-one sessions with either Sarah or me to talk very specifically about your project and the progress that you're making. Now, I know someone had posted in chat before, hey, what if we have previous engagements? We will make exceptions on a case-by-case basis, but you need to let us know about this before the program even begins so that we can make a good judgment as to whether or not this timing of the program is right for you. If you have to be at a wedding on a Thursday, to prep for a wedding on a Thursday afternoon, you're only going to miss one Thursday and it's been planned on the calendar for 9 months, let's talk about this. But if you have a class that meets every Tuesday afternoon and you're going to have to duck out of the program 30 minutes early each week, then the timing is just not right for you, and that's okay. This is not the last program we're going to do. In terms of funding, if you are a Georgia Tech PhD student, grad student, you will receive this funding through your lab. If you are not a Georgia Tech affiliated person, we've got a registration process for you to register as a vendor, and we'll be able to get funding to you that way. So it's a little bit different depending on if you're affiliated with the university or not. But accounting has ensured us that we can do this, and it's not going to be without hiccups because we're a university system and there's bureaucracy and red tape. Can I get an amen from those of you out there that know what I'm talking about? But we have the funding available, and we will be getting it to you. Okay. I want to be very clear about this. This funding comes with no strings attached. So if you successfully complete the program and be a part of it and do what we've asked you to do and get the learnings that we want you to get, you get the money, and that we don't take any equity, zero equity, right? You still own 100% of your project. We will continue to mentor you and work with you well past the program, but this funding comes with no strings attached. I just want to be really clear about that. All right, so here's what the schedule looks like. So hi, you're at the info session today. We actually kick off this event on April 14th, and then you'll see that we've got 4 additional sessions. Now on session 3, we have a guest entrepreneur who will be coming in and talking with you, or someone, if she's not actually an entrepreneur herself, she will be really embedded in this space of lean startup and design thinking and human-centered design that we stress so much throughout this program. But didn't want to put anybody's name up here because we're still waiting confirmation, but you will be introduced to someone on session 3. And then closing event will be our culminating event where you will come in and share with everyone what you've learned from your 20 to 30 interviews. So I just wanted to give you an idea of who you might encounter at our Female Founder Speaker Series based on who we've had previously. So some of you on this call, I know I've seen you at our Female Founder Speaker Series. I didn't put the 2 women up here who are joining us in April because that would have been smart, and I just didn't think that far ahead. But we'll have Casey Lett and Katie Mullins, who started It All Media. If you want to look them up, they are wildly engaging. They are very driven. They're extremely real, and they will tell you both the joys and the heartbreaks of what it's like to begin your own business, go out on your own. Both of them left the corporate world to do this. But you can see we try to pull in women that have various backgrounds, various expertise, just to give you, a network as well. Okay. So who can apply? Students, staff, faculty, research teams from any research institute nationwide. Also, if you are not affiliated with a research institute, you may also apply. Here's the deal with this being a female entrepreneurship. The team must at least be co-founded by a woman. We are looking for teams of 2 to 4, ideally, because that makes the work easier for you. But if you are a team of 1, that is okay. We just probably need to have a level set conversation at the beginning of the program about what this means for you in terms of work. All right, so here's a little bit just more. We're going to send you these slides as well, which is why some of them seem repetitive in nature, but we want to make sure you have all of the information. we really lean heavily on this idea of talking to customers. So more than anything, what we need you to be willing to do as you participate in this program is to get out of your comfort zone, to make cold calls, send cold emails, and have one-on-one conversations with folks about the job they're trying to get done, about the problem that you believe exists for them that you want to provide a solution for, about some kind of pain point that you want to try to address for them. And we are here to support you in doing that. Now, we're going to push you sort of like baby birds out of a nest, right? We are going to push you and make you go do this, but you can. We haven't met any of you yet, and we know that all of you are capable of doing this, even if it feels a little bit uncomfortable. But we'll be here to support you through it and to coach you through it, both in these larger group sessions and for office hours. Sarah, are there any questions that you think are appropriate for me to answer now in chat? Anything I should address?
Unfortunately, Melissa, since I'm sharing my screen, I haven't been able to keep a close eye on
Okay,
that.
then let me take a quick look at the chat. Okay, so Shanshan, apologies if I did not pronounce your name correctly. Do we need to have our own product or technology to apply for this program? As opposed to someone else's? Can you want to unmute and elaborate a little bit?
Hi. Because I'm a Georgia Tech MBA student,
Yes.
so I don't have like a STEM background. So I'm not sure if I want to apply for this program. Do I need to have my own like a technology or product or something like this?
So we would like for teams to come into the program with an idea of a project. So, or an idea of a problem space they would like to explore to determine what the solution could be for that problem space.
So it doesn't need to be a STEM related product or a product that you're considering, right? It could be non-STEM related, but you should, but
sorry.
generally.
Yeah, your hair is gorgeous, by the way. Can I do a refill with this like a
Hey,
little side
Tawana,
of,
do you mind going on mute? Or Leah, can you mute Tawana real quick?
Yep.
Thanks.
So again, it doesn't have to be a STEM, it doesn't have to be like IP that you own to do this, right? We do try to keep a balance in the cohort. So we will be seeking some folks that have a STEM related research, but we will also take on teams that just have a startup idea or product or service in mind generally. It is not necessarily just a purely educational program. So you do need to walk into the door with a general sense of what you want to be doing, right? Because we're going to be helping you explore that what.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. Tamara, does the funding go directly to us through our lab, or does the funding go to support our research if we are PhD students? So if you own if Georgia Tech owns the IP, because this is a research project that you are running out of the lab, we'll talk with you about how best to fund you. Does that mean that it needs to run through your lab to help support in the research that you're doing? Or perhaps it needs to run directly to you for other activities. So we can talk through that a little bit. Madison's asking, is there a curriculum that we will need to read or complete each week on our own prior to each session? So you will have some pre-work, and I'm going to get into that. And then you will have each week, really what we want you to be doing is interviewing. So that's going to be the vast majority of the homework that you're doing, but we will provide you with supplemental materials that you can read and engage with to augment your understanding of the method and what we're asking you to do. Carrie, all of our events are virtual right now, including our Female Founder Speaker Series. So we'd love for you to join us on Zoom. It's okay, Tawana, it happens all the time. And I thought for a second you were talking about my hair, and I'm super jealous that you weren't talking to me. So Madison's asking a really good question. If your team has completed at least 10 previous customer discovery interviews, could those count? Everyone comes into the program at zero interviews. We just level set from the beginning. Okay. Let's see. Sarah wants to know about teammates. Imagine they'd be interested. Sure, if they want to come and go through the program, but they may not stick with you long-term, that's fine. But if you are coming as a team, we need you to all participate as a team. Okay. All right, Sarah, let's go on to the next slide.
Okay.
All right, here is really what we're working to debunk, everyone. Unfortunately, your customers, your stakeholders, the folks within your problem space, they do not necessarily need a cool technology or the next best solution or a new process or way to do things. Ultimately, what they care about is getting a job done that they can't currently do or can't do it well. They need a problem alleviated that they can't figure out how to solve, and they need to make it to the next level. So the solutions for solving problems can look really different, right? I mean, I just put on chapstick before the call. The problem was I had dry lips. There are like 10,000 different ways to solve that problem, right? So how does your customer want the solution? How do they need the problem addressed? That's what we're really trying to figure out in this program. And Sarah and I want to address this right off the bat. So one of the things that we felt very strongly about when we started this program was this not turn into a women are good at this and women are bad at this, and men are good at this and men are bad at this kind of conversation. There is this myth out there that women are bad negotiators. That's just not true, right? That's no more true than all men are good negotiators. What we want each of you to have an opportunity to do as you enter into this program is identify what your strengths are and recognize what your weaknesses are. And then how do you use your strengths to your advantage as an entrepreneur? And then how do you build a team, an entrepreneurial team, to help you balance out those things that you're not necessarily good at? So we will spend a little bit of time in the beginning just talking through your strengths, your weaknesses, how you might balance out your team in certain areas, when it's time for you to go and talk to investors, or when it's time for you to negotiate with a key partner, or when it's time for you to negotiate equity, right, with the rest of your team members. What do you bring to the table? What are you good at? And how do you use those strengths to get through situations that you'll be placed in throughout your entrepreneurial experience? All right, the course methodology will play to your strengths. Sarah, you're just gonna have to flip through these, just flip and I'll talk. We'll use the Lean Startup methodology. You're gonna do customer discovery. Now, in a lot of our programs, you'll see on the next slide that in our 7-week national programs, our entrepreneurs talk to a minimum of 100 customers. So we're not asking you to do that here. We're asking you, on the next slide, you'll be relieved to see that we are asking you to only talk to 20 to 30 people. But that does not mean that your customer discovery stops at the end of 30. And also we understand that it doesn't mean that your customer discovery has just started when you come into our program, even though you'll start with a count of 0. And really what we're trying to help everyone understand here is who do they think needs the problem first? Who can they easily identify as someone who needs the problems addressed that you think you might have a solution for? And then who do you need to not pay attention to, right? If we were to sit down right now, and many of you, I ask you to give me a list of all the potential people who could benefit from this project idea that you have in mind, you could probably give me a list of 5 to 10 to 20, right? So we need to quickly pare down and narrow, yeah, but who needs it now? Where should we enter the market? Where are we going to have greatest success? It is going to feel like a lot. It doesn't matter if we assign 5 interviews or we assign 100 interviews. People start to get a little anxious and they feel like it's a little too much. I have absolutely no doubt that in the time frame that we have for this program, you can exceed 30 interviews. Honestly, it takes some prep work. We're going to let you know about a week in advance whether or not you've been accepted into the program. And one of the things you need to start doing as soon as you receive that acceptance email is start lining up interviews. Start thinking about who are those stakeholders that I need to have a conversation with first. You are really, all of the data, all of the information that we will hold as truth in this program is going to come from talking to people. So you are looking for pattern recognition. You're looking to pull insights from what you hear from the customers so that you can start to put the bigger picture together. And then the business model canvas. This is a tool that we use that we'll get into. It's an iterative tool that is really, really impactful for startups to keep track of both what they've learned and then to draw awareness to what they still need to understand. This replaces for teams at this stage a business plan. So we will get into detail about the business model canvas and how you use it through this program. What you can expect from us. Sarah and I are what we call and what is known as relentlessly direct. And there's actually a book called Radical Candor. I can't remember the author's name right now, but look up a book called Radical Candor. I think it's a red cover with north, south, east, and west on the front of it. And it talks about this idea that, so here's the bottom line. We don't have a ton of time with you, right? I showed you the schedule. We've got a limited amount of time to get a lot of work done. And so our job as your coach is to really push you to expand your horizons, dig into your conversations with folks, ask the right kind of questions so you get the right kind of answers that really inform you how you should be moving along your project. And so we're not going to spend a lot of time telling you how amazing and smart you are. We already assume that about you. We're going to spend time pushing back on the assertions you are making about your customer and the assertions you're making about how they need their problem solved. So we'll be not in any way rude, but it will feel like a full contact sport at times, both how we engage with you and what we're asking you to do. What does success look like? Other than the bullet points I gave you of what you literally have to do in this program, you also have to take a leap of faith. You have to trust us that this method actually works. We've seen it thousands of times with teams. You would not be the first team to be skeptical that this is actually how you can figure out your business model. Just trust us. It's going to work, and it's a system and it's a process, and you're not going to get it right off the bat. You are going to fail. And that is okay. We anticipate that. And we're also here to help you get through that failure, move through that failure, to be resilient and get to the next win. Okay, so just to reiterate, upon successful completion, you can receive $5,000. What does this mean? You show up and you do the work. Here's what we don't want you using any of the funding for: paying people for participating in an interview with you. We want folks to talk to you because they have something really important they need to share with you, not because you've promised them a $5 Starbucks gift card. Okay. There is an application that probably a number of you have already had access to, and I'm going to give you the link in just a second, but the application talks you through what you need to, what information you need to provide to us, such as this idea about what your project is, what your research is that you're working on, if it's applicable for that, who you think you need to talk to and what you think you need to learn from them. And how do you think you might spend this $5,000 to continue your customer discovery journey and your startup project journey? Go back real quick. Sorry, Sarah. I should mention, Audrey McLaughlin is a Georgia Tech alumna. She graduated with an industrial engineering degree in 1999. And she went on to found the luxury clothing brand Frank and Eileen. If you don't know about it, look it up. In fact, on the cover of the website, or the front page of the website right now, is a white jumpsuit that is the outfit that Audrey wore when she came and visited us on campus on Monday. But she feels extremely strongly about female entrepreneurship. We actually just hosted her with our Female Founder Speaker Series yesterday. So we have an entire 45 minutes worth of conversation with her that I'll ask Leah to bump that out to everyone that's on this call so that you can learn a little bit more about Audrey. But she has gifted us, she's given us a really, really nice donation. It's how we're able to fund all of you. So huge thanks to Audrey for finding us, for believing in our program, and for investing in us. Okay, so on the next slide are the links for how you can apply. And don't worry, you are going to be getting a copy of this, but Leah, if you wouldn't mind dropping these links in the chat so folks have easy access to it, that would be fantastic. So you go to this Google form, and it does need to be completed in full in order to be considered, but you will, all the information we need from you is requested on that form. So as long as you provide us that information, you are under consideration for acceptance into the program.
One thing I want to remind people of, sometimes we get people that apply that forget to put their email on the form. There's a place to add your email. Please remember to do that. If you don't do that, we don't know who you are, how to reach you. So please remember to do that.
Okay, so we are going to send notices of acceptance on April 7th. And along with that acceptance will come some information about the pre-work. And in a nutshell, what we are asking you to do in the 7 days, you got some time between when you are accepted and when we kick off, we're going to ask you to do a record and post to a Slack channel that we'll provide to you, a 3-minute intro video on who you are and the project that you want to tackle, this problem space that you want to try to address. If you are in research and you want to get a little nerdy with us, and perhaps throw up a slide of whatever cool technology or, I don't know, molecule that you're working on, feel free to do that as well. But just remember, you're talking to folks who don't necessarily have a knowledge in all of the different STEM say it.
Disciplines.
Thank you, disciplines. And other folks on this call or will be accepted won't either. So try to keep it in speak that most people will understand. And then we're going to ask you to download and read through a copy of Talking to Humans. This book is great. It's a free PDF online. It was written by 2 folks up in New York. I think they're with NYU that do the same thing that Sarah and I do here at Georgia Tech. They just do it up at NYU. And it level sets for how we ask you to go out and have conversations with people. So that will be.
Don't be scared. It's more of a pamphlet than it is a book.
It's super. You could read it over lunch one day. Super easy. All right. If you would like to get in contact with us, grab a screenshot of this. These are our email addresses. And we will be happy to answer questions. But as it is, we are at the end of the info session. So now we're going to open it up to Q&A. Feel free to drop stuff in the chat or feel free to unmute. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that, or Sarah is, so that we can see all of you. What questions can we answer, or what can we elaborate on for you?
Don't be shy, guys.
Hi, I know. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you can go. You can go ahead.
Okay. Thanks for the awesome info session. I think you mentioned earlier that usually you have about 10 to 15, the first time around you had 10 to 15 people apply, and about that many were in the program, but then the second kind of round, it was more like 45, and then I'm sure that had to be narrowed down. About how many people do you anticipate will be in this program?
We are hoping we'll probably be in that 10 to 15 teams range. When we don't go much over 20. And that's just for time's sake and being able to manage the number of teams. But I would imagine we'll be in that 10 to 15 range.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Mildred asked a great question in chat. Is there a deadline for submitting the application? April 5th, please. April 5th. Mercy, if you've participated in other incubators, can you still be accepted? Absolutely. Sure.
Hi, I want to ask about like what people usually do after going through the Female Founders program.
That's a great question. And there are lots of different either other programs that our founders can move into. So in terms of programming, there are, for Georgia Tech folks, there is the CreateX Startup Launch Program, which runs over the summer and is an accelerator program for Georgia Tech teams. There are any number of other regional programs, if you're not with Georgia Tech, that we can introduce you to. Sometimes the teams just start to run on their own as well. But one of the things we will do during the program is share with you all the resources that are available to you, both locally and nationally. So you have an idea, and then talk about who's a good fit for what, right? So that's one of the things we try to help you do is figure out what you do next. And this is where office hours can be really helpful, because we get a chance to really talk one-on-one with you about what you need next. And so what would be a good fit for you after the program.
And then Tamara has a comment in chat. So for the office hours, do you need to attend every week, and do your co-founders need to attend? So yes, you do need to attend office hours every week. It's a 30-minute meeting. It's one 30-minute meeting with either myself or Melissa. And yes, the co-founders should also attend. And this is so that there's not sort of a whisper down the lane effect in terms of feedback and coaching. Now we understand everybody has a lot going on. So again, if there's case by case scenarios where somebody needs to be absent for a session, we can work through that with you as long as we are understanding of what's going on and it's acceptable to the program. So Michelle says, if we have an interview after April 7th, being accepted before the 14th, will that count? That's a good question. Melissa, do you have thoughts on that?
I mean, our programs start at 0. Everybody enters the program with 0. So Jess, here's what I would do, Michelle. After that interview, ask that person to make an introduction for you and go ahead and get the next one lined up. Take what you learned from that interview and figure out who you need to talk to next and get it lined up. But we got to start everybody at 0.
Yeah. So part of the why here, guys, is there's going to be a lot that we teach you in that kickoff session about how to approach your customer discovery conversations. And if you haven't had training with us, then you will be approaching that conversation very differently. That's why we start the marker at 0 after that kickoff session, because you're going to learn a lot there that you're then going to apply to how you approach those conversations.
Mildred is asking if selected, would the $5,000 be paid in full at once or over a period of time? It will be paid in full at once upon successful completion of the program. And Mercy is asking, I'm currently a solopreneur but would like a team. So yeah, you're not alone in that, Mercy. And there might be someone who actually comes into the program that you end up merging with if your problem space is similar enough that could happen. There's also the opportunity for us to perhaps introduce you to other folks in the community, in the Georgia Tech community, who are looking to get involved in entrepreneurship but don't necessarily have something in mind. For example, who asked the question earlier? Shanshan asked the question. Shanshan, it sounds like you are sort of desiring to do some entrepreneurial work, but don't necessarily have a project in mind yet. It might make sense for you to team with someone who doesn't have a team but has a project idea, right? So that can happen as well.
And we have, so a couple of things with that. It's not like a structured event that happens during the cohort, but it happens organically. And we can absolutely point you to various resources on campus, or if, you have specific needs in mind for your team, then we can try to think through our network to see if there's someone we might be able to connect you to. But just as an example, we had 2 female founders come into our program last summer on separate teams. They realized halfway through that they had a lot of synergies in the research and technologies that they were working on, and they ended up partnering up in the middle of the program to complete as a singular team. So you never know when you're this early on where you're going to find the people that you end up surrounding yourself with to move forward and progress.
Hello, quick question. I know you mentioned earlier that if we were solopreneurs, that we should have a conversation with you all about the workflow. Is this something that should be had before we accept it into the program, or talk to you all after acceptance?
Brianne, have you submitted an application yet?
I did.
Okay. So I imagine that was indicated on your application. I think the bottom line is that we don't ease up on you as a solopreneur in terms of the workload and the interview count. So you just need to have eyes wide open that you don't have the benefit of handing off half or a third of those interviews to someone else, right? It's on you to do the work and to do all of the report outs as well.
Okay.
We just want everybody to have eyes wide open.
And then also my second question would be, if accepted into the program, whether we're not or we are accepted, will we get an email? So if we are not accepted, will we still get the email letting us know? Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And if you are not accepted this time around, we will keep you on our information list so that you receive notice about the next program that kicks off, so you can have the opportunity to apply to that one as well. And if you are not accepted and you would like some feedback as to why, happy to talk with you about that, because I know that that's really no is hard, but no with the reason why can often give people the knowledge they need to get a guess next time.
Any other thoughts, questions? Okay, gang. So we, you have we shared our emails, and maybe we ought to make sure that they're here as well. I'll just drop my name real quick. If you have any questions between now and when the registration closes on the 5th, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to continue to answer those questions for you. We are so happy that you were able to join us for the call today, and we really look forward to the cohort kicking off. We've had a lot of success in our previous runs and are just really energized by the community of women that we're starting to create here. And we'll look forward to connecting you into that community as well. So we're excited to have you here and look forward to the cohort kicking off.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you all.
Thank you.